I'm almost hesitant to share the ideas in this book because I know that people are not going to hear me out. People are not going to hear out Thomas Sowell, but truly, I think especially nowadays, it's important to read books like this. Even if you don't agree with the beliefs, even if you don't agree with the statistics, even if you don't agree with the takes or the approach or the method, it's important to expose yourself to new ideas. It's important to expose yourself to differing perspectives, and especially perspectives that you don't agree with. Without further ado, we're going to get into today's book, Social Justice Fallacies by Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is perhaps one of the most well-respected professors in terms of economics. I mean, depending what side of the aisle you're on, you either like him or you don't. But Thomas Sowell is not really a political figure. Thomas Sowell is more of a libertarian. He leans conservative in a lot of his views economically, but he doesn't identify with any political party because, again, political parties don't represent the interests of the people. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but Thomas Sowell is so much bigger than left or right. Thomas Sowell is a voice that we need, especially nowadays, because if you look into academia, it's so left-leaning. It's so, Darwinistic. It's so like, yeah, we can construct society in a manner that doesn't harm people. And that's Sowell's entire point. Thomas Sowell's entire point is that, yes, there has been discrimination. Yes, there has been injustice. But does trying to fix these injustices, does that do anything aside from create more? And a lot of the statistics actually support that. A lot of the statistics actually support that. These government programs really don't benefit the people they're trying to benefit. The real change always comes on a societal level, on a family level, on a cultural level. The government can never do anything that doesn't get in its own best interest, that doesn't get in its own way. Like, whenever the government tries to start a program, that's just like a sign for me that the funds are going to be misused. Because, I mean, look at the government spending and look at how the lives have gotten worse as the government spending has increased. Look at the national debt and look at what the debt is being spent on. Look at what these funds are going to. Look at the infrastructure of this country. Look at the response to hurricanes. Look at the response to, what was it? The Ohio train crash or train derailment. Like, look at the responses to all of these things and look at where the politicians are trying to send their money. They're trying to send it overseas, and it's like, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily believe that the government is representing my best interest. And it's really interesting to me that, I probably should say this too, Thomas Sowell is a black man as well, and he's really questioning these, more affirmative action-based legislation. And one of the biggest things he talks about is a lot of these things don't have the intended result that really show anything. And he really breaks down poverty, he breaks down statistics. And one of the interesting ones that I read was that basically, when we talk about poverty, the people that are in poverty aren't in the same social class 10 years later. A lot of the people move up and down the social ladder. And when we talk about, overall poverty, like the people that are in these statistics, they're usually moving. It's so weird to see a more balanced perspective in terms of these statistics that are, pushed in our face to show why we need to pay money for this, why we need affirmative action, why we need this, why we need that. And, it really sucks. It really sucks to see that, like, the hunches from, more right-leaning people are correct, and they're backed by statistics. They're backed by more analysis. And the truth is, like, it's eye-opening. It's really crazy. And I think these are books that we need to expose ourselves to simply for the fact that you might not agree with it, but it's a different perspective. And the more perspectives you can understand, the more you can understand the world. And this is something that I think more people need to hear, and this is something that I think more people need to understand, because the truth of the matter is that the reason why there's such a disalignment between the left and the right is because the left and the right can't see eye to eye. The left and the right will never understand what each other are arguing for, and because of that, there'll never be any agreement. The left does not understand why the right doesn't like social policies. The right doesn't understand why the left likes social policies. And the fundamental difference between the left and the right, I'll give it to you real quick. The left believes that people are underprivileged and their interests are not best represented by the form of government, and they should be given a handout by the government. The right believe that everyone should have the opportunity to grow, and programs that incentivize certain individuals over other individuals are not fair because it takes away from the merit-based part of society. And that's really the fundamental difference. And I'm sure there's an answer somewhere in the middle. I'm sure there's an answer that we can come to that we can all agree with. But because of this misalignment of values, because people kind of are just barking at each other and they're not really saying anything, they're just yelling at each other and saying, well, your party's this, your party's that. Like because we're stuck in these arguments, there's never going to be any sort of agreement. And I would really urge you, if you disagree with anything I said, like, first of all, don't resort to ad hominem attacks. We're so much better than this. You can comment and we can have a discussion, or read this book and see what Thomas Sowell is saying. See the things that he's talking about. And I really just want to make videos like this to stimulate thought. I'm not even making a political statement. I'm a libertarian at heart, but I don't think the libertarian values are represented in either side of government. I don't think the libertarian ideals have been represented since the foundation of the Constitution, since the Constitution was signed. And I mean, it's really, really sad, but I really just want to open up people to these ideologies and these ideas, because I think so many people they're seeing it as black and white. They're seeing it as one side's good, one side's bad, but the truth is both sides are bad. Both sides don't represent your interests, and until we get over these basic conversations of, 2-3 issues on each election, we'll never actually get good representation, because all people have to cater to win an election is say, well, I'm for, reproductive rights, or I'm against reproductive rights. That's literally all people have to say to get 50% of the vote, and that's just sad. And because of this, we have to start educating ourselves. Because of this, we have to start understanding what the statistics people are putting in our face actually mean, what the statistics and what the deeper meaning actually is. And I mean, one of the things that Sowell literally talks about is, we could talk about poverty among minority communities, but the poverty among single white households, single mother white households, is double that of minority communities. And it's maybe the issue isn't racist. Maybe the issue isn't, directly because of these preconceived notions. Maybe it's a deeper issue. Maybe it's a cultural issue. Maybe it's a family structure issue. Maybe it's a societal issue. Maybe it's the decay in morality of this country that's really led to these things. And I think these are important discussions we need to have, instead of, just screaming at each other and talking past each other. Because the truth is, if we don't understand where we're coming from, we can never argue. We can never come to an agreement. We can never have a discussion. Until your drunk uncle at Thanksgiving can read this book and not get upset, read this book and understand that, maybe the other side does have some valid concerns. Until that is the case, this country will continue to be on the decline, and it will continue to be the fall of Rome. And we need to understand these ideas, because these are so important, especially now today, especially in a day and age where the institutions are so left-leaning. The institutions are so social constructionist. The institutions are so we need to help these people. We need to be their savior. We need to, create policies that benefit them and only them at the expense of, the freedoms of everyone else. That's another point Sowell makes. The point Sowell makes is the market has always found ways to provide jobs for people. The market is above racism. There's several statistics in here that show that even in apartheid South Africa, minority communities that were negatively impacted by apartheid were getting jobs because they were economically viable, because they could undercut the other jobs. And it's why are we going to instill government, bureaucracy? Why are we going to instill government laws that take away from the freedom of everybody else, that take away from everybody else and take away from the ideals of the country? And that's really what it's about. It's about, does the ends justify the means? And I just want you to ask yourself this question while you're reading this book. Without further ado, I'll leave this book, I'll leave the link in the description if you want more from me. If you want to, have more of a discussion, feel free to join one of my live streams. Feel free to, comment or whatever. But yeah, this one's either going to be really good or really bad. I have no idea. I tried to approach this as fairly as I could. But if I didn't do it justice, if I didn't do a good job, let me know. But yeah, my school is down in the description. My Discord's also down in the description. Love all you guys. Thank you guys for, watching all these videos. Thank you guys for all the support. It's interesting that we can bring new ideas to people and, try to open them up to new perspectives, try to open them up to new ideas, because the more open we are to new ideas, even if we don't agree with them, the more open we are to the world, the more open we are to others, the more open we are to a discussion and coming to some sort of agreement, because that's what this is about. I think people miss the point nowadays. The point of debate is not to, win. The point of debate is to come to an agreement. It's to come to some sort of compromise. It's to see the other person's perspective and find common ground. Without further ado, peace out. Love all you guys. See you in the next one.